Welcome, guys, to the Joshin-Strike Podcast. We've got Jason from Arcade. Obviously, he's the CEO of Arcade, given the fact that there could be a lot of people called Jason in this scene. But this Jason's very special because he's the Arcade CEO. He's the organization owner and representative of Arcade. Is that correct? Like, own everything to do with
Uh,
Arcade?
I I guess I would label myself that kind of.
Do you have any other, like, co-owners or anything like that to help you out, like any staff?
There are a few people behind the scenes, and we're talking to a couple at the moment.
Mhm.
But we've kind of just got it's basically just me at the moment. But yeah, we're trying to get more people on board. But the only issue is like
Mhm.
everyone wants to be a player now, man. Like no one wants to do other stuff. Everyone just wants to be a player, which I get and it makes
Yep,
sense.
yep, yep.
But like yeah, it's kind of hard within like OCE, but I guess I also need to start like reaching out to a few more people.
Mhm.
Um,
What do
but
you
yeah,
what do you mean by like a player kind of thing, as in like an outward facing role, or?
like I'm talking about like everyone, like for example, like you won't find people wanting to do like social media, but
Yep.
like you'll find more people wanting to be players nowadays if they're trying to get into esports.
Yep.
Um, but I feel like obviously, no one should be getting to esports for money. Like, if you're getting to esports for money, you're stupid. I'm sorry, but
It's not a great
yeah,
investment.
yeah, yeah, it's not a good idea. But essentially, I think that. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there, Holly.
Yeah, I was just asking,
Um,
like you don't want anyone to be social media managed, but everyone wants to be a player. So
yeah,
like either
yeah,
playing
yeah,
for the team or just making money from it.
yeah. No, definitely, because I think like I kind of get it. Like more people want to play video games rather than sit on Twitter,
Yeah.
write tweets and stuff, and
hmm
like look at numbers,
Yeah.
which yeah makes sense. Um,
Do you have any content creators
but
or anything like that as a part of your org?
well, so we have a few, but like the content thing, we've kind of put it on pause. But
hmm
we've been working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes with content.
Yep.
TriPlus has actually been helping me out a lot with that.
hmm
Um,
So how's
uh,
so how's your team been overall with like content creation in particular? So you had Foggers do a few TikToks here and there. I'm not sure where Foggers is at the moment, given the fact there's been a lot of games for arcade. So that's probably put in the back burner. So at TriPlus as well has been helping a lot from what I've heard behind the scenes, not just for arcade, but for the teams before that.
oh yeah,
How does
no.
your team help, with you content wise? Like, is it filming footage or what do they do?
Well, I think Jaden or Foggers,
Yep.
like his whole thing is he wanted to kind of try and like expand, like because I think I brought it up to him at the start.
Mm.
I don't want to like claim he because I
Yep.
was
Yep.
like all by him. He kind of hit me up. He was like, "Hey, like, how do I edit?" And I was like, what do you mean?" And I kind of like showed him like a little bit of basics. And like he told me he wanted to do like some sort of like 28-day series
Mm-hmm.
where he would post like sort of educational type CS content
Mm-hmm.
and then see how it goes after that.
Yep.
And it kind of popped off. I think the one that like did really well was the Eternal Fire one or something
Mm-hmm.
like that on Anubis.
Yep.
Um, I think he did. Yeah, that one did really well. But that was all him. Like the whole thing. None of that was kind of my idea. Like if he like came to me
Mm-hmm.
for like any of the ideas and stuff like that, I'd give him feedback. But
Yep.
uh, most of it, yeah, he was just smashing it out. I think he had a lot of spare time because like uni was on break or something
Yep.
like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I think that was kind of it. And what was the other question you said?
Basically, what do Foggers and TriPlus do for arcade in particular, like with content for yourself and also themselves as well, like mainly for the org.
Well, so like for TriPlus, his actual job, like in real life, he does stuff for Refrag. He's a content director at
Oh
Refrag.
yeah, that's right. Yep.
So like, yeah, like he did.
Refrag
So
mentioned, by the
Tri,
way.
yeah, Refrag mentioned by the way on Joshin-Strike live.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I think he does a lot for the team.
Mm-hmm.
He like a lot. Like we watch a lot of odds and like we go over a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And I don't know, he's always just kind of chilling and like
Mm-hmm.
for the content stuff. Like he kind of helped me like set out like some sort of like a strategy for like moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And he introduced me. I'm not going to go into like the very specifics of it, but
Yep.
there's like we have a whole like broad thing, like a content strategy, which was originally introduced by Google. It's called the 3H, or I think it's like Hygiene Hero Hub or something like that.
Yep.
Which is like it's like different audiences you'd basically make videos for, and then push like certain content for.
Do you mean type
that.
A and B testing, similar to that, or?
Yeah, oh, not really, but it's kind of like, for example, like hero content is going to be like a Mr. Beast video, like, or a Nade King video, if you know who he is, the type of stuff that he would post. And then hygiene, I guess, would kind of be, the like videos where people are showing off like utility. But I don't know if that's kind of like, I'm still kind of getting the hang of it and like learning it as I go. So any questions, I obviously just like, I try and research it, I just ask him. But yeah, he just kind of helps give a lot of feedback. And that's kind of it, I guess. I mean, he's a player above all else, so that's like his priority. And I don't want him to like sit there and like focus on like arcade content when, he's the IGL. But like, I do appreciate him helping, and like he has contributed a fair bit.
So you did make a tweet in particular, and then Maniac did respond to it. I think Josh responded to it in particular. What has evolved out of that? Because obviously Josh, gave you some tips in particular to improve arcade. What have you taken out of it? Because you've seemed to just really just operate at a spring you step after that. Like, gave you, even though it was a really good feedback
sorry, who are we talking about?
In Maniac, Josh and Maniac, the guy who responded to you on your tweet.
No, I don't know, mate. I'm sorry. I think I kind of got an idea. Was it that ESL guy?
Yeah, the ESL one. Yeah, Josh.
Yeah. So that wasn't kind of like a wake-up call or anything. Like, we definitely had been working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes, but the only issue is, like I first mentioned prior, like, and like, I don't want to put the blame on anyone else. Like, obviously, I need to go out of my way. I need to like find more people. And I guess kind of in a way, he was right there. But yeah, we were definitely working on stuff behind the scenes. The only reason things were getting done so slow was because it basically is just me, right? I was talking to you prior about like who I've been like working with behind the scenes.
Yeah. And
like, we've been working on the pitch deck a little bit that I've been working on. Jesus, that's a big one. And then like the website, that takes a long while because I had to learn. Originally, I was going to try and code it. Well, code it, ChatGPT. And I was like, screw that. I'm using web because I saw Team Liquid. I looked at their website. I was looking at a bunch of other orgs' websites because I just wanted to kind of see what people were using. Team Liquid, like, because they had a revamp of their website and I thought it looked really good. And they're using something called Webflow. So we've been working on that. And I think that's like, and we've set like a whole, there's like 4 different documents that we've got. I went over with TriPlus yesterday with them actually. He helped me do another review yesterday. And there's like 4 big documents where it's just like, we have one for like how we should script videos. And like we have another for thumbnails, another for like our resources and tools.
So I say overall, his tweet wasn't a big wake up call. There's a lot being done. But I suppose it helped you in a way to like realize that you had to delegate a lot of the stuff. You didn't have to do it by yourself.
Yeah. So the thing is, like at the time, like I was definitely already talking to people about it, and like I understand his point, and like I definitely agree. Like I need to, in a way, be doing more and like managing my time better. And like I'll admit that I'm no expert, and I've never claimed to be an expert, right? Speaking to people behind the scenes the past couple of months it's really been like eye-opening when it comes to esports and business sort of stuff. Like I came into esports thinking this was going to be a fucking walk in the park. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear in here.
Yeah, let's swear.
But like if I don't know, it's
a lot
really
harder.
Then like people think like it also goes a lot deeper when it comes to like there's like tax and then there's like a bunch of other adult stuff, right? Like it's not just like you'll see, and I don't want to call out any orgs, like they do their thing and I respect it, but like you'll see like a Fortnite org, for example. Like they're doing their thing, it's going up because it's a group, it's a friend group. And that's so the thing is like with arcade, and I like want to compare it to like sort of in a way the Fortnite group and how FaZe Clan sort of does it, because I saw a video, right? And what FaZe does, or at least what Banks does, in a way, is he doesn't pay people to put FaZe in their name. It's just disingenuous, and he's done it forever. That's the reason FaZe is like the biggest. Well, I don't know if they are anymore, but I feel like there's like it just creates a fake sort of, connection between the people. When it comes to players, and like certain, I obviously pay them, right? But like the thing is, like when you're trying to build something, if you're like an org in OCE, you're going to drain money if you're like not creating it with people that you genuinely want to create it with and aren't there to just drain you for money, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm telling you, like it's it's not impossible, but like if you're you're paying someone for every single project, it really is like it like pulls at the at the money,
the pocket strings. What's the biggest challenge you've had in getting into esports so far that you really didn't expect?
I think it's definitely like the legal side of things. When I got out of school, like I didn't kind of do anything in school. Like I graduated, kind of like chilled out for a few years.
This is a big check. Did you complete year 12? Okay, otherwise Ben's scared to be over here.
I did complete year 12. I did complete year 12.
The Ben approval, Ben tick of approval.
Shout out Ben Savage, man.
Yep.
I respect what he's doing.
Yep. Yeah, continue.
I did complete it, and like so basically prior to this, I was doing like a bunch of COD stuff. So I worked like in like the trick shotting scene. Yeah, well, not really worked. I wouldn't say worked.
Yeah, it's just the doing the shots and like insane shots. Yeah.
No, like I kind of like owned teams then, so it was kind of like, we'd create content on YouTube of like us or like a group of people, trick shot and spin around in circles, post it, and like, they'll get a few thousand views, and I kind of like have for the last like few years kind of strayed away from that in gaming in general. Simply because I don't know, I'm just kind of losing an interest for playing games, I guess. And I want to do something more on the business side, but it's so hard to learn new things when it's kind of, you've got to do this, you've got to build this.
What's the hardest part on the legal end in particular? Like, what's the biggest thing? Is it the bureaucracy or the red tape?
I think, like, so from what I've seen, the difference is like, because I've seen a few contracts, right? Player contracts. From the first contracts I saw, I'm not gonna like say the orgs names.
You
or
don't
anything.
have to. You don't have to. It's just like
I've seen a few orgs, and even ours at the start, like because I thought like I didn't know anything about it. I will admit I came into this like an idiot.
Yeah.
And like that's my fault, but you live, you learn. And like the contracts are like they're like night and day different, like from like an actual contract.
Yeah.
What's like legal and can be used. But then like one you'd see from like a Fortnite org or something. I think that was like one of the bigger things for me because I don't know. It wasn't like too big. Like it's not a massive difference, but I think the whole just knowing that it's like legally certified and has been checked over by a lawyer is like a big thing. A lot of people need to be doing.
Are you saying like a lot of the contracts in esports overall is just not really worth the paper they're written on, or they're just egregiously unfair?
Well, look, I'm pretty sure in the top league, I don't know anyone's like deals, any orgs deals, but from my knowledge, everyone in OS is like all the orgs are like fair for their players. In terms of like what they provide, I don't think they try and scum their players out of anything, but. I think it's kind of just like how like the paper is actually done, so it's not it won't hold up, right? Like someone could break it, and realistically, an OS player is just going to break it, and no repercussions are going to come from it, anyways. Because like I doubt anyone's going to go through the legal responsibility for it.
Yeah,
which is kind of like in a way, I get it, but yeah. I don't really want to go too deep into the contracts, sort of thing.
Definitely not.
Like, again,
As I said, just wanted to know the biggest not legal challenges, biggest challenges you've had in the legal side, because you said that. So that's why I asked. You don't have to go deep.
I think setting up like a company as well is like a whole different thing. And like valuations. I was speaking to someone yesterday about valuations.
Yep.
Because I had someone, I'm not going to go too much, but I had someone hit me up about Arcade and like wanting to buy a percentage, for example. Before anyone gets fucking too hyped, I said no.
Well, you don't need to announce it. It's just an example.
I'm just announcing it, mate. But
it's like, how much is my esports company worth? And it's just like, there's no like,
it's worth nothing. I'll be realistic. Every org, I guess, I don't know what the DXA have. I think they have some other stuff behind the scenes, like schools. So they definitely probably wouldn't be worth nothing. But
it's like you don't have like, hard assets where you can be like, oh yeah, I have this property.
Yeah.
It's hard to value.
Exactly. So I think like setting it up is like, if you want to get into esports and set up something, you need to like talk to someone before you like dig into it, because that's like a big mistake I did. Like I just kind of jumped into it without thinking, and big reality check, and a lot of money was spent.
Yep. So how did you get to how do you get into the esports scene in the first place on the business end? Like, how long have you been in this industry?
Do you want the honest actual how it came together?
Yes.
This is the dumbest thing.
Dude, okay. You want me to share first on how I started casting? Is because someone dared me to cast a demo after playing GTA Heist for a bit. So I casted Party Astronauts versus E United. And I started casting demos bit by bit. Then they got a live Australian game for me to cast, and I casted that as well. And that's how I got into casting.
Yeah, that's cool. Mine was actually pretty similar. I was in a Discord call with a mate of mine called Razy. And because I don't remember the exact conversation.
You mean Rosie or Razy?
Razy. So he used to be an owner of BFG.
Yeah.
When it was
Continue.
Yeah, so he's like, you know what, you should start an esports org. And I was like, what's an esports org, right? Like, at that point, so you get, I don't even care if people call me dumb, because I know I'm dumb for it. Like, I had never actually watched a single esports or competitive match at that point, and I'm not actually a good gamer either. So, like, me coming in was basically me having to learn everything from start to finish. So I came in, at the time, I think with Ben 5, if you remember Ben 5.
I do remember that, actually. Was that an NA? For some reason, I've got NA in my head.
No, so Ben 5 was, I think, before, I think there was a player called Gregors. He wasn't on Arcade or anything. It was like him.
Yes, I do remember him being a team. Yep.
Him, Hazy. So it was basically Hazy, Pearl, Jinxie, Magic, and Harbour.
I do remember this team, yes, because I do remember casting this team. That's why I thought it was NA, but NA has Ben fucking Lee. That's his name. Yeah. Just a player.
Yeah. So, Razy knew this team, and they were in discussions of BFG, I believe, at the time, and then something happened down at BFG. I don't know the exacts of it. It's none of my business.
Doesn't matter,
yeah. Razy ended up taking a break for a little bit, and then coming to Arcade behind the scenes to help out. And then he's like, "I got this team, the CS team. Do you want to talk to him?" And I was like, "You know what? Sure." Like, I honestly, I didn't scout any teams either. Like, because I didn't know what I was doing. Right?
Yeah.
I knew Razy back in a different gaming community a few years ago.
Yep.
So that's how I met him. And I happened to actually reconnect with him after a few years.
Yep.
And this was one of our first conversations after speaking. So yeah, he told me that, and I started that up, and we picked up Ben 5, which was the CS team. And then we ended up forming a Valorant team, which I think was Spoon, Flows, and... Well, it's Joshin-Strike, so let's get rid of Valorant.
No. It's actually a good question. How did you come with the name Arcade? Like, how did that come to be?
I think honestly at the time we were just it was the same night. Honestly, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, you know what? Let's look into this esports thing.
Mm-hmm.
We were just kind of like shooting ideas at each other. I honestly can't remember who thought of it, but I think I might have. But yeah, Razy's basically been here from the start, and he's coming back.
Yep.
He's got some more time now, so that hopefully means Arcade should be hopefully, you know, having some more stuff done behind the scenes.
Yep.
You know, it's really hard, and like I want to like I'm doing a lot behind the scenes with like this pitch deck and everything. It's almost done. I'm ready to start reaching out to brands.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to ask you in particular, since you've been doing this, who's been your biggest guiding role or biggest mentor in the scene? You know, would it be Razy or would it be someone else?
So I don't know if he wants to be like publicly spoken about. But I don't know. I actually don't know what he like his alias is. But honestly, he was the old operations manager at the Chiefs. His name's Voltrus. He's been like I've been speaking to him behind the scenes a fair bit, and he's been giving me a lot of advice and kind of just helping me out. And then I guess Dr. Michelle Payne, like as weird as that sounds, she's like really helped me. Like she's spoken to me and kind of like, you know, I don't know. She's just an all round good person. So I think she's one of the people I definitely look up to, and you know, I respect a lot.
That's pretty good. Like, yeah, that's actually pretty awesome. Actually, so
which is her son, by the way. The Chiefs guy's her son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
I did not know that in particular. So Chiefs still operate, or is he former Chiefs kind of thing?
I think he's former Chiefs now.
Okay, because I was going to say because obviously Chiefs merged with Bliss.
Yeah, I don't know anything about like what happened there. I actually didn't really read into it. I think there was like a post or something, an article about
I know they merged together, I believe, because I'm not too sure how that went down, but it doesn't really matter anyway because it's obviously done, and neither of us are part of the Chiefs or Bliss, so probably not not the greatest of idea to talk about it. But
none of our business.
Overall, like, you know, with Arcade, like, you know, how did the first CS2 team go, or CSGO team go? You know, the Jinxie roster in particular. Like, you know, how was it? Was it a good introduction to esports? What do you put it down to?
Honestly, well, I don't want to bag on the roster. They were my first roster. They were a really good roster, and I respect them a lot. And I think we definitely achieved a fair bit. I think the very first season we got into, I think it was ANZ main. I don't remember the exact season or what it was labeled because it ended up changing all around from season double digits to season something single digits. And
it was ANZ main, but yeah, go for it.
Yeah, and I think we actually made finals. First season, like in like esports.
Yep.
Which was really cool. Like for me, like making like ANZ main finals at the time, like I definitely feel like there was a lot more of a competitive. And I don't know if it's just me getting into esports and kind of experiencing things like for the first time, but I honestly felt like there was a lot more, you know, drive for the competition back then when there was like main and champs and. I don't know. Main was like for me making finals for main was like crazy, even though it really like wasn't that crazy. But like it was just an experience, really. Honestly, I don't know.
Because I gotta say that was a very good roster you picked up in particular, and I felt like, you know, the boys really did stick together as best they could. And I think they did a really, really good job, to be honest. Like, I was going to say, like, there could have been a lot of rosters that you could have picked up and have had a lot more trouble with, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, there was definitely a lot of people who helped, like, assist with that roster in terms of, like, keeping it afloat. I mean, Pearl was there from the very beginning, always trying to... like, that roster, man, that roster came back, like, about... that roster should have been dead like 10 times realistically.
That's what I meant. Like they
and like that's all due respect. Like and like I don't mean that in a bad way. Like they were like I still like really really like that roster, and like I hope to work with some of those players in the future again because you know people like James for example or Jinxie, I really respect him. Like he was when I like was at Arcade, I spoke with him a fair bit. Well, not really a fair bit. Back then, like the conversation with that team was kind of, it was if they needed something, kind of, you know, that.
It just
with
felt
the new
like they
team,
understood that they wanted to keep the
yeah,
roster together and build it. That's what I'm trying to say.
yeah. So they kind of we understood each other's like what we wanted, and there wasn't really any need to have like deep conversations. So it just kind of worked, and they like kept it going, and all due respect to them for that. Like, there was definitely a lot of times where I was like thinking, you know, like, there's other rosters, but like, you know, these guys have been with us
for a long time, yeah.
So I kept them. Yeah, so I kept them.
How hard was it to drop the roster? Because I could imagine how hard it would have been on you.
Right. Okay. So yeah, the roster, well, it's gone now. I don't think any of them cared. The roster was like dropped prior to like that announcement going out.
Yeah.
Since they were with like the roster for the org for so long. And I still do respect them. I want to make that clear. If any of them are watching, I don't hate you guys.
No. I think that's quite clear. Like I didn't imply anything to the opposite, because they were like, I talked to them obviously at the LAN at TGX and stuff like that. Even though they were, I think they're being dropped at that point. They were still, you know, understanding. Of course, that's fine. We stick to this team as best as we can. And in the end, I think they all went their separate ways, because obviously Jinxie went to KZG. I gotta say, Jinxie's very unlucky to get cut from KZG, to be completely honest.
Yeah, look, I
gotta say right now, it's kind of a Rory situation where Rory got cut from Elemental after being IGL for Tux, and that made that Mind Freak roster.
No, I'm too young for that, man. I don't remember that one.
Oh, okay, so Elemental won ANZ main and got to ANZ champs, and Tux was back on the menu, so simply put, they minus Rory, who was the IGL of the Elemental roster, and put in Tux, and it just, I feel bad for Rory. Still do to this day, even though me and Rory disagree on a lot of shit. But it's just like, it's like a kind of scenario for like Jinx in particular and KCG. It's just like a better player became available, and it's just like, it's nothing about you, but it's just about the talent that became available, which was DPR.
The thing is, like, that's like one thing, like with Arcade, and I think a lot of people like misunderstand like our whole goal. We're not here, like, obviously, like, it sounds stupid, but we're not here to win. Like, our goal's not to win. We're here to develop the talent, like put funds into them, and like, you know, I saw a TikTok, like I was explaining earlier with Banks, like how FaZe works is basically none of their new streamers, like I'm sure you've seen it all over your timeline, even if you don't follow them. I don't even follow FaZe anymore. I haven't for like 10 years, right? So, but they're all over my timeline. But none of those streamers are getting paid, right? None of them are getting paid to put FaZe in their name. But the whole thing is with FaZe, it's a business model where they invest in them, and then, for example, Sneaky, mate. Sorry. So they invest in like the players or like the content creators, for example, and what's it called? And if they want to do whatever, they can basically do it, and then FaZe will kind of help facilitate it. And then once it comes to a point where it's like, okay, how does this look like, you know, from a business point of view? Like, what do I gain? What do they gain? That's how FaZe operates, and like that's how they've always operated from the very beginning.
So is that kind of sorry, I should put this back on track. It's kind of like our Arcade operators. Like basically, when you drop the roster, it was just like, how do you feel about that when you drop the roster? Like, is it awful?
Yeah, no, I definitely. I was speaking to a lot of people before. Well, I wouldn't say a lot of people. Like, I go to the main people I go to are definitely Razy and like Liam when I want to like discuss things like this. Because you know I can trust them to give me an honest opinion. But yeah, no, I definitely didn't want to drop the roster. Like even like I even said that to him. I didn't want to do it, but like I think I don't remember the exact like reason. I think it came down to a few things, and at the time the roster was a bit in like shambles, or something. And like we had to keep like changing players over and over, and it just wasn't, because we couldn't get any games streamed as well. That was another big one. And that's why we got the team in ECL. I had like there were a few teams. I'm not going to say what rosters, but there are a few like top ESEA Open teams, and there were definitely a couple of ECL teams,
Yep.
including org teams that hit me up before picking up this roster of like Foggers and all of them.
Yep. So
And they were already in the ECL, but I decided to pick up them instead.
Yeah, so why do you pick up Foggers and that making history team over any other team in particular? Especially when they were with Vex, but I'm not sure how Vex was on the scene in particular.
Oh, yeah. Look.
I don't want to talk about that, but why do you pick them up?
Yeah, okay. So honestly, with Foggers and like that roster, even though I think the season they actually didn't do that well, like the roster season that we picked them up, they really didn't do that well. But like I just kind of really like liked what they were presenting, and like they're down to grind. Like if they say they're gonna grind, they're gonna grind, right? Whereas with my other experiences with teams, like I haven't had people wanting to, want it that much, right? But like Jaden and everyone at the team, Riley, everyone, they fucking kill it behind the scenes. And look, all I'm saying is our results don't reflect how good we are, and that's just my honest opinion. But yeah, I think a lot of it also came down to just I connected with them a lot better as like people. But a lot of it, like I actually didn't have long enough discussions with some of them to compare and say I made the decision because I liked them more than this person. Like I respect a lot of people.
Well, what kind of like main features do you look for like in a team before you pick them up?
Honestly, one thing is like if they're being active, like well, not really active on socials, like but like that definitely helps. It like brings a lot of like visibility. But I think honestly, I can't remember how I found them. I think it was after the team.
I'm saying, what factors do you look into like before you pick up a team, not just one team?
Yeah. I don't know. Like obviously stats, but you want to be like kind of looking into what roles they play. But that's like if you get an IGL, like most of my teams at the top level,
mainly from I guess right now, not from a technical side, but from like a personality point of view.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess it's a hard one. I don't really know how to answer that.
Like the vibe check. Come on, man, the vibe check.
Like I don't know how to answer that. I'm sorry, but
okay.
I guess if I like them and I think they're like they're cool and I don't know how else to explain it. Obviously, I'm not like picking someone up because I think they're cool. Yeah, but it's hard.
So like
comes down to a lot of different factors.
It's like trust and open communication and stuff like that, or
open communication. Thank you. Sorry, that's a good one. Yeah, no, I was definitely looking for like open communication with the teams, and with this roster, I'm like almost met. Like we basically talk like every day. Like they have like their own Facebook group chat. Like obviously, like all these teams, like they have their own like chats and stuff. But then we have our chat and like we have the team speak and like with the DMs, we're always like either like messaging or they're always messaging behind the scenes and like keeping like each other in the loop of certain things. So they're all, like the whole thing, like the communication is like pretty alright. I need to like I'm a bit all over the joint at the moment because I'm doing the pitch deck. So my communication is kind of a bit dodgy, but at the moment it's been pretty alright, and I think we all just communicate well. I don't really know how to give a good answer to that one, but we just kind of work.
I think we'll leave the interview at the moment, but we're going to go to the first topic because this is actually big and special towards you because as a really new organization owner, you've never actually been to a LAN. So we can talk about your first LAN.
Here we go. Yeah.
Sorry, I got a bit of a cough. That LAN flu is actually still around. So,
really,
have you actually been to like any other events? Like obviously this is your first CS LAN. Have you been to any other events before this? Like any other esports events, or was this just like your first LAN at a local LAN?
I've never been to a gaming event. I've never been to a PAX or like a VidCon or whatever. I've never been to anything like that. So this was like literally my very first like event. if we're talking about like events at like a large scale, obviously like this was like really small compared
Yeah.
to it. But like I went to the Kid Leroy concert, but that's not even esports. Like
Mhm.
that's like because I live in Townsville. There's like barely any events.
That's music, man. Come on.
Yeah, I know, but like that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. There's like nothing here.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's
Well,
yeah. It was
how was it meeting your team for the first time in person?
Okay, so do you want to hear the story?
Yes. Oh, dude.
I
Should I
was
get Foggers on to introduce the story and tell what happened? I have no idea what happened, but anyway.
Yeah, but well, I actually met Foggers and Triplus first,
Yep.
and so we went, and then our first thing we had a beer together.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, like real men. We had a beer.
I don't drink.
And
yeah,
fortunate,
continue.
Josh.
Which pub? Which seat? Which table?
I think it was actually called some three wise monkeys or something like that.
I actually, is that Sydney, right? I've actually walked past that.
Yeah,
yeah.
Sydney. Yeah, we went there, and they almost the bar was going to kick us out. They came over, checked all of our IDs.
Yeah.
Because they mistook us for someone that like used a fake ID next door at a bar.
Yeah.
So we were all like, "What the hell? Are we being too loud?" But yeah, no. And then like the guy apologized. He was really sorry.
Yeah.
And like it was cool. Like yeah, no, they were really nice. We kind of just like talked. And then we had to track up this big ass hill to get to the house, the Airbnb. Man,
when do you guys stay at the Airbnb? Because obviously I stayed in the BQ Hotel, which was like a 5-minute walk away. Yeah. How was the house? Like, obviously staying with your team, whatnot. Was it chaotic? Was it fun? What happened?
It was chaotic. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a mess. Yeah. But like, I think, yeah, it was a pain in the ass, like the driveway. I'll tell you that. But like, I think staying with the team, like, it was cool. I think we were all like cool with each other. I don't know. I don't really want to speak of them. They could fucking hate me. I don't care. But like, I don't know. I think we were all cool.
What did you guys get up to in the house? Okay, was there any sneaky buggers, or was it just drinking and having a good time?
We actually didn't drink at the house. So on Friday night, so we all came down Friday, and I took them out for Korean barbecue.
Oh, that's good.
And Kraz came along with us for Korean barbecue.
Yep.
Shout out Kraz.
Do you remind him? You remind him it was a playoff match, not a relegation match?
I didn't remind him that. I saw that video. That's funny. Yeah, Butchers. We went to a place that a viewer in the chat actually suggested.
Yeah.
So him and Viridian suggested a place called Butchers, and I booked a place, and then I found out that our Airbnb cancelled on us at 3 a.m.
Oh no!
So I had to cancel that booking and book one closer, but I couldn't find like anyone closer. But thankfully we found a place, and we ended up getting a reservation. I don't know. I didn't really eat much. I didn't have I didn't really have an appetite, but I'll tell you what, it was Kraz and everyone else. They were getting the money's worth, my money's worth. So I don't know. I think the soju's.
Good old soju. Yeah.
They gave us like a year-old expired soju. It was bloody fantastic. We drank it. I'll tell you that. But I mean, why not? But I don't know. It was cool. We did that. We went back to the Airbnb. I think we chucked the footy on for a little bit and just spoke. Just kicked back, and then I guess we eventually went to bed because at that point, like we'd been around all day. Well, they went to bed actually, and Kobe was coming in. He was driving in, so I stayed up till like 11:30. So at that point, like it was actually the most fried like LAN. Like, I've been awake since 3 a.m. at that point. I stayed up till 11:30, but like the night before, I was up at like 10:30, like
Mhm.
at night,
Mhm.
and then we basically had the LAN,
Mhm.
and then that was all fine. I think we came a bit late, but
Yeah. I
um,
came really late. I didn't realize it started at 10, not everything prepared at 10. Jeez.
yeah, I swear it said set up at 10, but regardless,
Yeah.
yeah. So we got there, and that was all cool. And then yeah, the LAN basically went on for the whole day. We went back to the Airbnb, and we pretty much just passed out.
Mhm.
And then we basically all had to catch a like really early flight.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not paying for like a 1 day trip basically for
Yeah.
like an expensive flight. Like screw that. So yeah, we all had like really early flights. So we were up at 4 a.m. on
Sure.
Sunday morning, tracking up the hill. Yeah, and then I ended up actually getting like sick.
Mhm.
So yeah, I ended up vomiting.
Oh
And
no.
it wasn't a good experience, and
Oh
it was
no.
yeah. I don't look. Yeah.
How was the LAN overall? How did you enjoy it? Obviously, it was a very long day. You had to play BO1s and 2 BO3s on the stage as well. Or 1 BO3, I think. Oh, no, it was 2. It's 2 BO3s.
Yeah.
How was like
I don't
the
know.
motions that went through in all the BO1s, especially since I think one of your games was it quad overtime?
No, that was what's his name? Jerom's game,
Yeah,
Falcon's
yeah, yeah,
game.
yeah, yeah. So none of your
That
games was
was
the OT. How crazy was like the BO3s in general, like on the stage?
let me pull up the scores actually.
Yeah.
Because I think on stage, do you know who we played? I actually don't. I think it
You
was
played Art of War and
Art of War.
Freaky Saturday.
Yeah, so I think we lost against Freaky Saturday.
That's correct. That's who you got eliminated by.
Right. And what's it called? I don't know. It was pretty cool. I
Mhm.
wasn't up on the stage because there wasn't really much space, and
Yeah.
I was trying to like get some videos. But look, I don't know how you do it, Josh, but let me tell you, it's so hard to
Oh, it
get a
fucking
video,
is.
tweet it, and then get the next moment because you'll end up missing the next moment.
Oh,
But
fucking
then
hell,
the
man.
next moment will be even better than the moment you posted, and it's like, man.
The amount of fucking clutches and fucking things the retake was incredible, dude. It was like fucking so annoying. Like I think, oh, they're gonna clutch, they're gonna win it out, and they lose the rounds. Just like fucking hell. And I have to be as quiet as
Yeah.
possible because I don't want to distract them at all. Because that's the main thing. Because they don't have any earphones, so they can hear you. So I had to be ultra careful in particular. But overall, I felt the LAN was really, really good. I got to cast my first LAN, which was pretty awesome. Which is, yeah. I only cast Advantage for Freaky Saturday, and I think it's because like Flam went off to have a smoke, and Pilsky wasn't there yet, like for his call time.
Yeah.
So they put me in for a bit in particular, which is pseudo my first LAN, which is pretty decent because they had no other casters there. So they're like, "Do you want to cast a match?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Let's go cast a
That's
match."
right. You did jump on for one. I think I actually ended up
Yep.
jumping in the chat for like 2 seconds and then
Yeah.
got off of it. But yeah, how was that? Was that fun?
Yeah, it was all right. It was pretty good. Like, Mordred's really good at the production, so it's good to see him live doing things in particular. And what was it? I had something on the wrong way, so he told me that, but I couldn't hear it because the headset's actually really good at noise cancelling, so I couldn't hear him say anything. And I did my own obs as well, which I enjoy doing my own obs in particular because it's fun. You can highlight and you can also draw on the map, which I love drawing on the map. Actually, no, I couldn't draw on the map. That's right, I couldn't draw on the map, which I dislike. Okay, because I love drawing on the map for no reason. But it was really, really good.
Yeah.
I enjoy LAN experience. Of course, the hunger gets more. You want to do a bigger event and whatnot, but at the same time, I think I enjoyed it, and I would love to cast at LANs in the future, but whatever comes, and that's pretty much it. Like at the end of the day, I have to just if I want to go further, then I don't know, because this is what it is in casting. I wrote this in an article. Might even write a part 2 to this. You just don't know what you fucking need. Like you could have like one bad. I wrote this in an article as well. You can have one bad run in with someone who matters, and you've potentially set your career back at 2 years.
Yeah, look.
And I've had I've had one person who's had that happen to them, and I'm just like, That's just unlucky.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah, well, look, I think that just shouldn't even. If you have an opinion, like my whole thing is, if you have an opinion, then you should just be able to voice it.
No, it wasn't an opinion. It was just a bad run-in. Just miscommunication that turned a bit, to an argument, that sort of stuff. It wasn't an opinion.
I think that's like, I guess it comes down to the individuals where they just need to be a bit more. I don't know. I guess everyone's here for the same reason, so like that's how I view it. If you're in esports, like obviously, I've had like really bad run-ins with like TOs and ESL's like been great. I've never had a bad experience with them as of yet. So and Defrag as well, they've been fantastic.
Very, very unlikely of those two orgs in particular.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to chip in about your first LAN? Like, the Airbnb, not that great, bit chaotic, but end up being a whole bunch of fun.
It was really nice meeting everyone. I had a chat with Coach Parnell, bought him a beer. Actually, I bought him a beer. Yeah, and I think it was fun. Like, I don't know, I lost my voice literally from like the next day. My voice was gone for like a week.
Oh, jeez, that's so good.
I think I've actually like broken like a voice box. I don't know.
Anyways, let's get to the next topic, and this is going to be like a lot of contentious issues, okay? And I'm going to say this straight up. I'm just going to devil advocates, whatever you say, okay?
Okay.
And that's going to be about the snap tap and jump throw broken, okay? So we've had a lot of CS players complain about this because they just wanted snap tap banned, not jump binds. So a lot of TOs have said that you can't use any snap tap or binds, in particular there's jump for anything like that. And a lot of people, in particular Liege and a few others, have voiced that they wanted to keep those for quality of life purposes. And a lot of people who just basically say, get in server, deal with it, kind of relearn things, and that's it, which is basically Stico. And what are your views on this, in particular, the snap tap and jump bind sort of drama? Like, what do you view the approach from Valve? Like, is it the all approach is probably the best approach, or just let it all be legal?
I think the Valve, like I don't know, like I'm not a player, so obviously like it really depends. But I think from what I saw, people weren't complaining about the fact it was like a jump throw. Like anyone, I'm pretty sure like it's been like known for a while that like Valve can like has implemented something. Well, not that it's like the same as like the jump throw or as good as the jump throw, but they've like, I think for a while they've kind of made it a bit more consistent than what it was in CS:GO. But I think the main thing people are complaining about is being able to do like W jump throws, I believe.
Yeah. That's what I meant, the jump throw kind of thing. But yeah, W jump throws.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's a misconception that people like think it's just jump throw, but I think it's more of a W jump through thing. At least that's from what I've seen. But I like I said, I'm not a player. And I think ESL said they're allowing it.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. As well as the snap tap. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know if like ESL is a partner with like Razer or like whoever, but well, I guess if they
it's Razer, Huntsman. Yeah, I'm not sure if they're sponsored by Razer. Given that they've signed up Logitech, I'm very sure they're not sponsored by Razer because Logitech would have the keyboards and whatnot.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Tito. Just as I mentioned that, Tito mentions it in chat that Logitech is their sponsor. Yeah, I was gonna say. But overall, I'm gonna say this. I think you either go all the way or you go none at all with these sort of changes. It's either all or none. And I'm glad they went all the way because WoW had this precipice a while back, and they went halfway, and now it's gone all the way. And now it's gone. The add-ons play the game for you half the time. Like they're a big part of you progressing on anything. Because if you don't have them, then you're tracking like 20 billion things at once, which is really hard to do. Now, obviously, versus automation of equality of life, how do you see the difference between consistently nailing W jump throws and you put it to snap tap as quality of life? Because one makes counter strafing, a afterthought, and the other makes W jump throws an afterthought. What's the difference?
I think there is like also rapid trigger, which does help for like strafing.
Yep.
So like you can turn your actuation down still. Like no one's like stopping. I think that's still all allowed. But I think,
No,
like I said,
I don't think any of it's allowed, like, for according to Valve.
well, the thing is with rapid trigger, it's not like a
Yep.
snap tap thing.
Mhm.
But like I haven't seen anything because if they like, it's basically turning the actuation down on your keys, right?
Yep.
But then I think there's something that you can somehow like strafe better or like it. I don't know.
But what do you view it as? Like, do you think it's crossing over to the automation side, or do you think it's a quality of life thing?
I think from what I've experienced, like jump throws been in CS like since like however long, right? So I think just keeping it in, if all the pros are saying it, like they need it and like it should be in, then like there has to be a reason, right? Like I'm not a pro, so like I'm not like I can't give a qualified answer on whether it's like a shit thing or a right thing.
I guess say overall with pros in particular, you gotta be really careful with listening to pros because sometimes pros just cry about shit like everyone cheating and stuff like that. When in reality, it's not like that. Like all the people that have accused people of radaring and stuff like that, how many of them have actually been true and correct? Not many. And people buying into the myth that cheating's everywhere in Valve, and then they found out that not cheating is actually, in fact, not everywhere. It's actually a bit of a myth. It could have been a bit of an overreaction from these pros as well, both on both sides, in regards to SnapTab and also in regards to Valve's decision. Like, I don't think you can listen to all of them as per se, because there's some that say this is more of like appealing to authority argument, like dismantling that. You got Steeko, who basically says, just get the fuck in the server and practice it so you can be more consistent, or try to find different ways. And the people who just want the old ways back, and that's understandable. Some people don't want shit to change. I'd just back Steeko in particular. Like, if you are a real champion player and a real pro player, this is going to be, incense, okay? Incense people, okay? You'll find different ways to throw those nades that don't rely on it. Like, I remember when speedrunners in particular, like I've talked about this before with their tool-assisted speedrun, they would use the tool-assisted speedrun to find a trick that a human could do, okay? That a human could realistically set up and do it themselves. That's what you should be doing, because there are going to be points like this where the rules are going to change severely and you're going to have to learn a different strategy. I think it's really focusing on a lot of adapting to the game for a lot of people. And I can understand people are frustrated and annoyed. At the same time, this is what you're going to be as a pro player. You're going to be adaptive and versatile. Otherwise, you're just going to get banged out in the server if you don't adapt to what your opponent's doing.
No, like I think, like there's, I don't know. Like I said, I think these like all of like those sort of things, like I don't like, because I've seen like a lot of people getting a bunch of hate for it. Like, it's not that like I don't care about the whole thing. Like I think it's if the pros like,
you're just not sure.
Like that, yeah. I honestly don't know. I haven't looked into it enough because like it doesn't affect me. Realistically, it doesn't affect like how my players should be performing. But yeah, I think if that's the way that Valve's gonna do it, then they can if they're forcing people to use alternatives, then that's kind of the way it has to go. Like whether or not that's how people want it to go, don't know. But yeah, I think automation like is basically kind of like it needs to be a fine balance between like what's like okay. Like obviously you can't just have like you can't just press like a single button and then you'll have someone like running down retaking the site for you. Yeah. Like I think that's where it's like a bit too far, but like when it comes to like
that's why
W jump throws and shit,
that's why I bring up double jump throws as well, because like that's automation, making sure your smoke lands consistently in window, and that is important for a tactic in that round because the window player can't come in. And
the thing is, like, I feel like I can, like, I don't know. I guess after time, people get like too adapted to it. So it's basically like, if CS took out the AK, think of it like that. It's been in there for that long, right? So like, how do you think people are like? what are they gonna like? They have to adapt to like whatever other gun is meta then, which is the M4.
I'm gonna say that's probably a different sort of area. Like, obviously a game losing a weapon compared to a technique that people have automated, because that's different. That's like, buffing or nerfing weapons.
It was like it was just like a wide example, but I don't know.
We gotta discuss it bit by bit, because this is a topic that gets danced around a lot by pro players. What is automation and what is quality of life? Because I view, like, you can make an argument. I'll make the argument here for you as well to help you out, or actually not to help you out, but to just dig you deeper. But like, nailing the jump for every time with a bind is just as equalation as the counter strafe one as well, because you're doing something consistently that you couldn't do consistently normally, like humanly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think, like I said earlier, that like I think Valve introduced something where they actually made it a bit easier in general, anyways. From like when CS2 actually released, I think it was just genuinely a bit easier. I could be completely wrong. I could be completely wrong.
They were trying to wean us off the jump tap binds.
Maybe
to whack us with this hammer. But
I feel like if they were going to wean us off, then like they wouldn't just like do it after. I don't know how long the game's been out now for like CS2, but it's been a while. So like I don't think they'd leave it that long.
Because that's why I viewed it. Because I was actually thinking about it. It's like, seems like, jump binds make you hit nades consistently, especially with the W jump through kind of thing. And I'm like, makes you hit consistently on nades that you may not be able to hit consistently. And I looked at the counter strafing, and I'm like, that's the same thing, that you may not hit every single counter strafe consistently, but if you practice it hard enough, that'll be successful. Now, obviously, I'll catch a lot of hate for this opinion in particular, but that's a case that's there. You can actually make a case for that. Now, do I want jump binds to be gone, like the W jump binds? No, probably not, because they make for interesting scenarios. But at the same time, if they banned as well, that makes interesting scenarios too. It means you have to adjust your nade style to set up certain things, and now certain things aren't possible for the CTs or the Ts to do, which changes the game dynamic again, which forces everyone to adapt. And that's what I love to see in CS in particular, like the new and different ideas that players come up with without the developer having to introduce something.
Yeah, no, I think like having to adapt, like it brings a, like you said, like a whole new style where they kind of like where they have to, you either have to adapt or you're gonna be behind, right? Like someone's always gonna find something to do something a bit easier in some way.
They've even found binds already on like keyboards and stuff like that to copy it.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Did you see the stuff about the null binds, or what? I think that's what they were called?
Yeah.
It was like a whole config. I didn't look into it too much, but it was like I was reading. It was just literally better than.
It was basically
like,
SnapTap.
The SnapTap.
It was basically SnapTap.
Yeah, but better.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, I read into those null binds particularly out of SnapTap. Someone actually did say that this change was game breaking, and I disagree with it. I don't think the change was game breaking. You know what the change would be game breaking? If, suddenly CS2 ran at like 30 or 20 FPS, I feel that's game breaking. But yeah, someone said it was game breaking. I disagree with that. Like a W jump bind failing, it has a chance of fail. You have to be consistent with it. It's not game breaking. Game breaking is when you can't play the game. Can you play CS2? Yes, you have to do a few adjustments. Do you agree with that thing? I've been talking too much. I should give it to you, okay?
Like I said, like I'm not like knowledgeable enough to like make a educated comment.
Yeah.
I don't care if I get cancelled.
Oh, you just make an uneducated comment, okay? What do you feel? Like, it's more of a personal opinion. It isn't like, you don't have to have expertise in the game to make this, because this applies to a lot of different games. Okay, you got WoW that's had this happen to as well. You got speedrunning this has happened to. Probably even COD this has happened to. Aim assist, stuff like that.
I think with WoW, what I'm imagining, that don't really watch WoW. The only WoW that I ever capture is kind of like what you do.
It's to do with add-ons. So you see a lot of add-ons on my screen. Like Weak is one of them, where it has like my entire rotation on the front area. That is Weak Auras. That is one of the most broken add-ons in the game, because I can track boss abilities, my interrupt timer, my countdown timer, my enemy's interrupt timer, can count down my cooldowns, what my internal cooldown is on my trinket. This is probably going over your head, but I can track so much fucking abilities that normally I'd have to keep track of myself, okay, on various screens. but this add-on does it for me. It's all in one place. That's what I'm talking about, how automation is. Like, I don't have to pay attention to it because my add-ons are telling me.
Yeah. I think that's like always been a thing, especially in Minecraft.
Exactly. Like, you got Feed the Beast and all that shit as well.
Like, yeah, with Minecraft, like the PvP stuff, because that's how I actually met Razy when I was who I was telling you about earlier. I met him years back.
That's what I mean. This conversation is a wide range.
Like you could display on Minecraft, like with the PvP, like it was like you use potions. That's what I was kind of into, the potion PvP. And then you could have like add-ons that it displayed, like usually you wouldn't be able to see how long your potion has wearing out unless you press E to open your inventory. And then it shows on the side, right? But like with the add-on, you could just be walking around and then, like you said, you have it on like your screen and it just shows you literally everything. You could see the potion duration. This had like, there's like a whole, like people introduced whole clients which are like filled with like tens and like hundreds of mods, some of them, which is, I think if it's been a thing in games, like for a lot of other things, there has to be a fine line. That's my personal opinion. But I think I didn't actually look into it enough to know if it was broken to the point where it should be done. And that's why
there's a big debate between quality of life, because that potion change can be seen as a quality of life because you can't see your duration till you actually look in. No, and I think that's kind of where it's like there needs to be a balance where I think stuff like that should be allowed, right? Well, obviously you're not going to have potions on CS, but when it comes to like small things like that, and I think that's basically comparable to, I think the W jump through thing, at least to me. I think it's something small that Valve should just allow. It's been in the game forever. And I'm pretty sure weren't they literally going to make some sort of thing to implement it in the game anyway? I'm not terribly too sure. I haven't got any information on that. I know they've made a noise now that you can hear if you do a jump throw, so maybe they are introducing something. But maybe. But as I said before, like, all these smokes and all these flashes you can do, I feel like they do impact the round. Obviously, not to the extent you've implied as well, not to the extent that you said. But I feel like, you can argue that the snap tap and the jump throw can have the similar impact. My opinion, like actual opinion, other than playing devil's advocate to stir everyone up, is I don't think the W jump throw is that impactful overall, and it's more of a quality of life change in automation. How do you even tell? How do you tell the difference between the two? Like, what do you feel like the definition of an element of a quality of life change versus an element of automation where you need to ban it? I think where so in COD trick shotting, I think it's actually, the product is, I believe, made for people with disabilities. It's called a Coronis Max. And in COD you could basically create scripts, and what you do is you can record it or you can input it, whatever. And then basically you press a button. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere. I saw it earlier. But what does it do? It basically, so you can record it and you press a button. So, like, for example, I've got my controller here, right? If I press this button, like right here, like one of the buttons there, it will complete like multiple different actions. Like, I could basically, if I wanted to run from the spawn and to the other spawn, I can do that with, and then I could put my controller down and run to the other spawn. Like, I think that's where it's like, when it comes to CS, if it's like in automation where they're literally just doing a whole retake, like W jump through, then throw the molly flash, all that for you at the same time without you having to do it. I think that's where it's pushing the line. That's like automation to me. Quality of life is like simple things where it makes it easier. I think making it harder is like, I don't know. I guess it's CS community is like weird where, and I think it's the same with the COD community. They want new things, but people like Valve or like Activision or whatever will try and introduce new things, and people just won't like it, right? But the issue is with that, then they, like with COD at least, they want like the old COD, like they want like the old stuff back. And I guess that's the same with the CS thing when it comes to
They want what they've experienced and what they've, gotten used to over the years.
So what do
Meaning,
you view a quality of life thing as? Like, I kind of view it as like, displaying a timer on a potion or displaying, basically what you have left, basically.
yeah, no, I think that's definitely, that's quality of life. But like I said, if it's like, if you're pushing a button or a key to do a whole retake for you, I think that's like a bit ridiculous. And that's automation.
So how we can put down the elements down to like, elements for automation would be obviously has an impact on the gameplay, whether it's significant enough to have an impact on the gameplay. Because if we put it down to impact, then obviously snap, tap, and jump throws all win it because it has an impact on the gameplay because it puts a smoke in an area that you normally won't get it into from a place that you wouldn't normally get it to as well. So how do we differentiate a snap tap, which does have a large impact on counter strafing, as a bad thing, and then W jump throws as a good thing in quality of life? Like, how do we differentiate that?
I think snap tap. I think it's kind of like hard to answer though, because snap tap, like if snap tap's going to be available, it needs to be available for everyone. Because if people are able to just go out and buy it, and Valve is not just so I think a lot of people are missing the fact that the Valve isn't just thinking about the pro community, right? They also have millions of other players that they need to cater for. So I don't know, I guess removing like the
you want me to give it an attempt? Maybe give it an attempt to define
like, I guess I'm not really
I'm a law student, so I deal with all this fucking elements bullshit to deal with, okay? So first of all, it's going to have an impact on the gameplay. So that's probably the one thing that's have an impact on the gameplay. If yes, how much, okay? Is it significant to greatly impact the round? Basically, where a person would get a kill where they normally wouldn't. So I gotta say with counter strafing, yes, that's going to impact a lot of times that they're going to get a kill that they wouldn't normally get. Would a jump throw do that? No, and I think that's a differentiating element in particular. Is it significant enough? Okay, and the other one was does it play the game for you? Okay, like are you playing the game using it, or does it play the game for you? And if it's playing the game for you, it's automatically automation. And then you get into the gameplay elements. Does it impact your gameplay? Like if it's not that, if it's significant, like counter strafing, yes, because it makes you win a duel that you not normally win. Knowing that you have two flashes. This is me going quality of life. Does knowing that you have two flashes significantly impact your gameplay? Yes. But does it matter on the gameplay if you have two flashes or not? No, it doesn't. It's not significantly impactful.
I think, like, I was in Tarkov recently, and like Tarkov Arena, and I saw a tweet from Gomez, right? And it was today. He was like, we're so lucky to have like basically all these quality of life things with like CS and like the observing. I think, and that's like going off track a little bit, but I don't like to answer your question. I really don't know enough about snap tap and jump throw.
I'm just trying to define, like, how do you define something as, automation, and how do you define something as not automation on those line ball cases? Because the obvious two examples we listed, pretty easy. Like, it's just like, it's easy. Snap tap and the jump throw ones are very contentious because obviously a jump throw can have a significant impact, but I feel like it can have a significant impact to nail a kill. It doesn't matter about adjustments, it's about nailing a kill, because if one thing can guarantee you a kill over another thing that you may not normally have got it, I think that's the line that we need to put in, the fine line you talked about.
Yeah.
Because obviously a jump throw you can play around. Okay, if they smoke barrage and window, you can play around that smoke. But if a person has a counter strafing like snap tap, you can't play around that because they're going to have perfect aim and stop at the perfect time to take off your head.
Yeah, well, I think if snap tap is going to exist, I think jump throw should exist. So my whole 100%. Thing to like snap tap, if that's going to exist, then Valve needs to implement some sort of system where it's somewhat balanced, right?
Right.
Whether that's removing completely, it needs to be all medium or nothing. It can't be like they can't just
well, the thing is, Valve
allow
can't
snap tap and then not do anything.
It's just Valve can't really bounce around that because their game is obviously, not balanced around it in particular. So I think overall it's just got to be like how much of an impact it has. And I feel like, as you said before, like, on the quality scale of automation, SnapTap is way above jump throws, because jump throws, they have an impact in the round, but they don't have a significant impact whether A or B player is going to get a kill. There's the human element is still there. You got to still fire that gun. A jump throw is not going to net you a kill 100 or a higher percentage of the time. SnapTap will, because I've seen people's leader fire go up from like 40-30% with the strafe to 90%. And that's a big fucking jump, because that means that nailing the sprays and whatnot. And I think that the elements, I think we should get them a bit clearer. Someone's going to be like, come on, dude, get it clear elements. I think it's obviously the impact on the gameplay that it has.
Yeah.
Whether it can turn an advantage in your favor to win a lot of duels. Or not a lot of duels, but can win a round for you. Or win a duel in particular. And is it playing the game for you? So if it's playing the game for you, that's the first overarching principle. If it's playing the game for you, it is immediately automation. Okay? The next one is there thing significantly impacting gameplay that you would win a duel that you wouldn't normally win? If yes, then it also is automation. And then you got to measure if it's significant enough. Okay? That's how I feel my elements are. Is it significant enough that's going to win you a duel? No wonder you have 2 flashbangs is quality of life.
Like I'm not.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
I'm not thinking that deep, bro.
I'm thinking that deep because we're going to the iceberg, mate. But that's how I'm thinking about, Does it impact significantly that you're going to get a kill? With a W jump throw, it will not, okay? Even though you've got the extra smokes in the areas, it does not guarantee you'll get a kill. You may throw a jump for a HE and the player's not fucking there. Okay, it doesn't matter. So the counter strafe, in other words, if a player is there, and you're spraying down, obviously, because it has to be, otherwise you don't counter strafe, you're going to kill them. Like, generally most of the time. And that's how I think the differentiation should go. It's just the 2 elements, or the element where it's impacting enough that you get a kill over another person because you have that keyboard.
Yeah.
Yep. I think we're done for that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't really know how to answer your questions for those, sorry.
It's more of a personal opinion. Like, it's more of a personal opinion. Just go out with your personal opinion. I don't mind.
I don't like play the game to even have a personal opinion. That's where I'm at. I've been playing video games.
I don't even play the game. Just take a swing at it, okay?
Yeah.
And if you miss it and you hit someone in the stands and they get angry at you for it, well, it's free food, okay?
I'm not sure what you're asking. I feel like I've kind of already answered it. Where it's like,
we'll get to the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's even, more contentious, okay? So, the ACC Open qualifiers for the RMR got rescheduled, okay? Because a lot of people had mentioned that, obviously, they have jobs, they have university study and whatnot. And the one reason why I want to talk about it is because, well, there's one person who mentioned something during my last interview, which was Ben, okay?
Yeah.
And Ben mentioned that the people who can't reschedule that or can't take a day off in particular, I guess this is an offhanded comment from Ben, that they may have not made it that far to begin with, okay? Now, this is where I really evolve this argument, okay? What's the difference between accommodation and the price of going pro? Because obviously if you want to go professional, you're going to have to sacrifice something. And
look, if you want my... Sorry, go on.
And you know what? You go first, and you say your piece.
If you want my honest opinion on it, I think from looking at it right now in OS, I think them not making 2 hours isn't going to make or break whether or not they're going to go pro or not. Considering, right now, everything's all over the joint. Art of War just won an OT against Rooster on map 1. So, ECL, for example, the results are... They're too all over the joint to even be well, if you're not going to take uni off, and I'm pretty sure I actually saw Keo response and he had exams. He's not going to risk his exams to play a qualifier, which and all due respect to Keo, he and his team and DXA, they're, and I think they know it too. They're not going to make it right to they're through the qualifier at least. They're not going to qualify for for the major or whatever it is in Shanghai.
Yeah.
They're not going to be the ones that are going to do it.
That's what Ben, alludes to basically. Is like they're not going to make it anyway.
Well, I think that's like, I don't know. I think DXA are a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with like a bunch of practice under their belt, and like if they had like, if DXA took it more seriously than they do right now, I feel like they'll be a very dangerous team.
Yeah, definitely.
That's my opinion.
Yep.
So I think his comments just a bit out of touch, to be honest. And I think that, I mean, I get what he's trying to get at.
Yeah.
And I do like understand it, but I think you've also got to look at it where you've got talent, you've got all of these top teams that are trying to make it. Monitor. And I think if he's making comments like, there's like people that have lives, and like it's easier to say when you've got everyone over and like they're doing like full time basically. I don't know what their situation is, and
what he's at the moment, he's housing both Shadley and Keen, I believe, the European recruits he got. Like they're over at his house at the moment. Yep.
Yeah, that's what So look, I think it's easy to say when you're not like the one experiencing it, I guess. But like I said, I saw like Keo or something tweet that they had exams. Like you can't just like cancel exams. Like, it just, you can't be doing that. And if that comes down to you apparently not being good enough to make it, then look, man.
I'm gonna say I get to probably twist into another one, which is probably what his meaning is. Trying to attention. Like Ben is naturally a good guy. I'm gonna say, like he comes off rough.
Yeah, I know. I've definitely heard.
He's a motocross kind of thing in particular. Not motocross, sorry, fucking motor cars. Obviously, he tried motor cars, as you heard about. I think where he's coming from is that, are you taking your esports career serious enough that you're gonna make these majors in particular, that you're willing to take like a half day off? Because I remember like Moe, if you've seen Moe's little documentary that he wrote, where he was getting a job and then took a day of leave of his job to fly to WA to try to qualify for a major. I think that's what he's talking about. If you're not willing to try to reschedule an exam or whatnot, what you're trying to do in esports. But I can guess from your point of view is that Australia isn't a professional region. There's only one professional team.
Well, I think if it wants to be a professional region, it needs to, act as one, I guess. And I say that like that can be taken as a lot of different ways. But I think that, there comes a fine line, and we need to be realistic when it comes, like you've got Semperfi and all these other teams. Like the reason why they're like people think they're going to make it is because these people are dumping a bucket load of money into it, right? And they're like some of the best players that are in our region, so they're most likely going to make it. DXA is a really good team. And like not just DXA.
Is it more like just understanding the sacrifice behind like making a good team where you have to do that sort of stuff?
Yeah. I feel like it's just unrealistic to be like, hey, Jaden, go take off. Like I wouldn't go tell Foggers to take off a big exam to play for this. That I just wouldn't. I'd tell him, go do your exam. It's just,
I think it's a difference of opinion because like obviously Ben overall said, Savage, all you have to do is just finish year 12. That's it. You can do whatever. And I think it's just a difference of sort of things where like, Savage may take that exam off or reschedule it, because you can definitely reschedule exams. But the main thing I'm going to say overall, like, it's probably the difference of sometimes going pro or not, where you have to sacrifice things and time for that extra bit of practice, or even going over to Europe in particular. Because obviously Savage and his dad is going to be so different opinion, because Savage went to Europe to try out for various different teams. He went to Sheffield, for example. And
I heard of some of those names,
Yep. And I got to agree with Monoton particularly with this as well, is that Australia isn't a professional region at these esports events, okay? So some accommodation has to really be taken to mind. And I completely understand Ben's take, and I got to say, I agree with him overall. If you want to become a professional in esports, you've got to take those sacrifices and that fly. If you don't want to, so like Keo, Ruffleco, having a bit of fun, with friends and whatnot, that's good too. You're allowed to do that. It's just overall that you're eventually going to have to take those sacrifices if you want to be serious in esports. Like you're going to have to, wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning like I think Tony and Matsy do as well, to cast EUCS because they get nothing here. They get no AU casting, so they have to go to EU, NA. I remember the boys, Elvish, Pilsky, Mac, all of those guys used to do ESA Prem for fucking North America. So they're up to like 9 or 10 a.m. And also they did Europe as well. So Europe's late night, so they're operating on fucking graveyard shift. I think overall, like, you know, it's going to come to a point where you're becoming professional in your career. So I understand Ben's take, but Ben's take's not exactly wrong either. But the thing is, as you said as well, is that it's really realizing what you're seeing is. And I wanted to actually just highlight it just to me just then, actually. Australia is not a big scene. And you can't do that sort of stuff where you just only let the pros play, because there's going to be no scene. Because there's only like 2 free pro teams and that's it.
I think I agree with what Monitor's saying.
Yeah.
I think it's I think like Monitor's kind of hit it on the head with the hammer there. Like it's simple as that. Yeah. Like it's
because sort of EU in particular, you can do that sort of shit in EU because also, first of all, close qualifier. Second of all, fucking half those teams that like all those teams that are in that league at the moment are salaried. And NA, you can do it to an extent, but still NA even still complains about that. But Australia, you can't do that because, like, overall, like, even though, like, I gotta say for Ben, his opinion, because obviously he's in being European blood, he will never consider the fact that you may not have enough teams, like, to enter in particular, because the AU scene is not professional in the slightest at all. It is semi-professional for some teams, and that's the top teams, by the way, and amateur at best. And amateur is not a bad thing. Amateur means that you're not being paid to play. Okay? Semi-professional is that you're being paid, but it's not a living salary. Professional, it is a full salary being paid. And overall, you know, I think Ben is right. If you want to take your esports seriously, you are going to have to make some of those sacrifices. But it's not worth sacrificing an entire fucking region over it.
Yeah, no. Definitely not. I think it's I don't really know. I don't really like getting into those sort of topics.
We got, you know, someone's gonna have the conversation eventually, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if people like take it personally or get angry. You'll get really passionate.
Yeah,
That's what drives
care.
these scenes forward. Like, this is what drives scenes forward. It's just discussion, giving each other a good hug.
Yeah. I'm not like, but I don't care if people like hate me. I honestly really don't. If people don't want to care about arcade, that's cool. I'll just go do something outside of esports. Like, it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't like have to be like around. So like, I it's not the fact that I'm like stopping myself from saying anything. It's that like, I think it's kind of just as simple as, you know, if they like people have reasons they're not going to make it. That's going to be the same in every other region, right? Like, as far as we know, you know, someone could be doing something someday and had it planned for like a year and a half. It could be someone's anniversary. Who knows? Like, it all comes down to like a different like thing. And like,
this is what happened to, actually, it reminds me of something. It's what happened to Anders. You know, Anders doesn't see his kids that often. You know, obviously the cast of Anders and stuff like that, because Richard Lewis talked about this. Like, some of the casters have to make big sacrifices. Like Sponge, for example, has to live in fucking Malta away from his family. Like, he doesn't come back to Perth too much. And I think it just really underlines the sacrifices that people make to be professional. And I gotta say, with you know, it's just how much you want to sacrifice. And obviously, at the moment, like, if let's just say, for example, like Australia had like 32 professional teams, okay? Yeah, you can say that because you've got professional teams behind it. But Australia just doesn't have a professional scene. And it doesn't have a professional scene in many esports. You can't go to like any scene in particular in esports and be like, that all those teams are professional. League of Legends? No, fuck off, they're not professional. Valorant? Not professional. CS? Not professional. And I think in this kind of way, accommodation is the right path for Perfect World. You have to kind of accommodate to it, okay? Because I went to Perfect World, I emailed them being like, hey guys, what's the biggest issue on why you can't reschedule it to 6 p.m? Because Challenger Mode boys are all on. Why can't you reschedule to 6 p.m. where most people are at home? And I explained, I'm sorry, I'm coughing because my voice. I explained to them that Australia's not a professional region. We have one professional team, which is, or two, Talon and FlyQuest. The rest of the other teams are not professional. Okay, they're semi-professional. They do this like recreational basketball. You play once a week and have a ha-ha. That's it. That's our region.
Yeah.
So why can't we move it 4 hours back? I didn't get a response to it because they just did the 2 hours thing and that's it. But, you know, I explained that situation to them.
Don't they got staff that are like monitoring the event? It could just be a time zone thing. I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
That's what they did with Arena.
That's what I was trying to suss out. You know, what's the issue? You get what I mean?
Yeah, like
because I didn't want to accept. Oh yeah, we got 2 hours and that's it. I want to be like, hey, you know, what's the issue? How can we help? You know, because we want to help. We want to make this tournament good for everyone because we want to compete. But you know, that's what I did in particular because, of course, this could extend to the close qualifiers where you got KZG, who's a part-time team, Rooster, part-time team, and House Bets, same thing. Like they could not attend the close qualifiers because work or exams or whatnot.
Yeah, well, I guess you know, I don't know, either with the Rooster and like that's a bit all over the joint. I don't know what TJ does, so I don't know any of their obligations.
You don't really need to know like what they do and stuff like that. It's just more of a general guideline.
Yeah.
We can make it great again by spawning young talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so, but no, I don't. There's no buts there. You can't make it great again like that. But I just think it's like it's what Monster said. Monster said you can make the scene great again by supporting younger talent. Definitely. I think it's just a case of a population for Australia more than anything else.
Yeah. Well, I hate to be rude, but I really need to get going soon.
Yeah. I was gonna wrap it up. But this is the last topic anyway. And I think overall, like, I think there's two different conversations here. Like, I don't think Ben's actually wrong. And I also don't think the other people are actually wrong.
I don't think he's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think he's wrong. I think he's misinterpreted.
Oh, I think Ben was more like Ben's probably gonna be like, oh no, I meant, you know, if you want to become a pro, that's it. That kind of thing. And he's basically said, like, you know, if you're not willing to make that, you probably won't be getting far anyway, which is true. But also at the same time, he probably is well aware that you should accommodate to as much people as you can.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what he's at, and I think a lot of people just like take it at face value, where it's like, well, if you can't make it, then suck it up, suck shit type shit. I think that's what people think he's trying to do, whereas I think he's rather trying to be like, we should be setting this, you know, standard, like the other regions, like EU, for example, like you said. You know, if we want to make these sacrifices, we got to treat it like it's an actual sport or like an actual region. And I think that's kind of where he's getting at. I've never really actually spoken to Ben, but I watched his podcast and it actually, some of his tweets were a bit iffy about him. But I watched the podcast and I think I did gain a bit of respect for him after some of the stuff he did say in that. I can't remember everything. I watched it one morning. Yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah.
I think we'll wrap it up here. Thanks for coming on, dude. And I hope you have a great evening, okay? See you guys later. And thank you to all you guys in the audience as well. And also, if you guys on YouTube, if you want to watch it live, you can watch it live on Twitch TV, only just from TV. Do you have your Twitter and Twitch you want to promote as well?
Sure. My Twitter is at @hateyourfriends. And my Twitch, I don't go live. So I'll probably leave that one out. But yeah.
Yeah, you know, we'll link it. What about the arcade? Let's link the arcade one as well. Okay. The arcade, I think it's
the arcade tweet.
Yeah, what's the arcade tweet? It's like Twitter arcade CS.
Arcade ESP is the Twitter. We don't really use the CS one. We were looking into multi-distributing it, but I was speaking to a few people, and they were like, it's like even if it like spams a timeline, don't do it. Like, I mean, don't like make a different account. That's what I've been told. It's not like the move. At least not allowed from my side.
Anyways, Jason, thanks for coming on. We'll be throwing a quick raid to ESLCS and hope you guys have a lovely day. See you guys later. Peace out. Bye.